Hello everybody. I've talked about what I feed my, there's videos about it. The blend of flakes I use is the staple food, and then most tanks get regular algae wafers as well. Not all tanks, but all tanks get the algae wafers sometimes, but not all the time. But if there's a pleco population that I want to keep going, I put it, you don't have to do anything to keep them going, but if you want to. And then sometimes I just like putting in, because the shrimp really enjoy it. It's a treat for the shrimp as well. But more importantly, the most important thing when you're talking about food is how much to feed. And that depends what you're trying to do in the tank. Obviously, how much stuff you got in the tank. Livestock. So, this is what I probably dropped in food. At least 5 minutes ago, maybe 5 minutes ago. And all the tanks. And this is what it's looking like. And say, like, I have a pinch that I use. With 40 gallons, they get one big pinch. And then, like, things like this that need even more food, with all the Plecos, they get the algae wafers. So I always put, I know, if I feed, I don't look at it as feeding the fish, I look at it as feeding the tank. So then I know if I feed this much on a regular, consistent basis, I know that my maintenance routine that I use works. So it's not just, it's a conscious decision. And I end up with a lot of snails because I feed a lot, but I'm trying to breed fish. And fish that are fat and healthy breed more, and super fat fish make even more babies. So, that's the thought. Oh look, we got one out. The long fin green dragon. I barely even get to see them myself. They're so scared. This is the first sighting of one of these guys, I think, on a video since. I try to get him on video, and oh, there's another one. There's another one. Oh my gosh. Looks like they're doing good. Oh, glare. It looks like, oh, the glare here is horrible. I apologize. I'm trying. But, yeah. Long fin green dragon sighting. Neat. And then these, with only a few fish, tanks that don't have a whole lot of fish, like these breeding groups, they still have. I put so much food in to make sure they get as much food as they can possibly want to eat, that the shrimp population booms. Some tanks, the shrimp population goes crazy, and the snails, like this tank, don't really have hardly any snails in it. But in this tank up here, the shrimp population is not nearly as good, but this tank is overrunning with snails. So if I'm dropping in the same amount of food for every 20-gallon tank, it's either going to be the snails, not the guppies, the snails and the shrimp. And so if you're not getting enough shrimp breeding, you might need to try to remove your snails. Is what I've been discovering. This tank is somewhere in the middle. Of course, this tank has a lot of fish in it. But again, I still generally feed the same. Every 20 gallon gets like a medium-sized pinch. The 40s get one huge pinch. The pond gets 2 huge pinches. And the 75s get 2 medium pinches. So, that's the first part of it. We got some levamisol and fenbendazole going through all these guppy tanks. I'm trying to get the last of this parasite problem. I think I've got it about completely gone. Look at that double sword. Wow. Oh, where'd you go, man? Oh, that's not the same one. That's cool, too. That is pretty cool. There's that double sword one again. He's doing his mating dance. Okay. So that's what we're gonna do. And now, next, that was the flakes. And then we have these flakes. So I'm gonna continue the video and talk about our flakes, pellets, algae wafers. I'll show you, talk about feeding that. So here we are, probably like 5 minutes after I put the wafers in here. This tank gets more wafers than any of them because there's lots of Plecos in here. That's the big breeder male of it. He's the big boss. He's like, I've had him 4 years, I think. Had him a long time. He had this tank, he was only Pleco in this tank for years. I was like, let's try breeding Plecos. That's one of the original females. And I think every albino I've kept to grow up, because when I sell these, everyone always wants the albinos. So I think all the albinos I keep end up being males. The ones I've kept to grow up, which I'm sure I'll keep a couple of them. They're still eating on the flakes too, but there's some algae wafers. So what I'll do is I'll sit here, I'll feed this tank. What I'm going to do, I'm going to sit and wait for them to gather up. And when this tank starts gathering up real good on the algae wafers, it looks pretty cool. I will continue with this video and show you the next, what it ends up looking like. Because believe me, excuse me, believe me, you'll want to stick around and see these mass feeding balls because it's pretty cool. So while we're waiting for these shrimp to gather up that I'm talking about, I thought I'd catch some of these. I gotta stand way back and zoom in because when you get too close they freak out and scatter. My super red bristlenose Plecos, I throw in a lot. This tank gets quite a bit of wafers too. You can tell by my snail population. There's like 100 plus fry in there, I think. This guy's always fighting. I have not. He's got battle wounds. Someone got his face. So I am gonna have to start putting some of these males in other tanks. Now that they're all getting grown up. But let's see if we can get a little closer. Watch him eat. A little bit closer. Oh, they're not running and scattering. What's up, man? You're brave. You're being a brave boy. Let me film you. Holy smokes. These guys never let you get this close. I see a few I need to call out. Got some brown spots on them. They'll go live in a pond, I reckon, too. Never had the coal Plecos. That'll be a new one. There's the original female. Right there. All these little babies. Okay. So now let's see. Have these guys found out? They're just now starting to make their way. We got a few of them that found it. We'll check back with this tank. The blue jellies. We'll check back here and see how these guys are finding their algae wafers. Can't forget, here in the panda tank, my 29 gallon, I did put one of the males in. There's algae wafers right there. I only break off one little piece because see if he's gonna find it. Maybe I already worked on it some. I don't know if I'm gonna put a female in there with him yet or not. And so here we are. There's one of the long fitting super reds. Looking right there. And look at all the green jade shrimp. That's where the algae wafer landed over there. Here's another Pleco. These guys should be getting close to spawning age. So that would be cool to get some of these going again, or for the first time with these. We got a lot of shrimp. This tank's getting overgrown with moss again. But it's doing good. I haven't talked about this tank in a little bit. But doing pretty good. Let's go see some of the other ones. Well, unfortunately, I was hoping to get a big pile of these guys going. But I did just feed flakes right before I threw these in. Here they come. And I come up here to see what was going on. And there's a big old cloud. So there's a great big huge female Pleco in here. Just keep her in here to keep the glass clean. But she scared away all the shrimp, so I think that's what's going on in here. They're already full of flakes, so the urgency to eat isn't as big. But then we're talking about how much you feed and keeping it all in balance. But like I said, I feed the same amount of flakes to every tank, but then some tanks get wafers every day. Some tanks very rarely get wafers. So in tanks that are mostly just shrimp, They might have one pleco in them. These tanks get like 10 to 20% water change every week. And this tank too, my orange shrimp tank. Looking real good. Have to get up there and get some more of them red ones out. And then this tank, it has a breeding pair. This usually gets like 1 wafer or 2 wafers every day. So it gets it every day, but unfortunately I don't want them to keep breeding, but to keep breeding the pair of bristlenose Plecos. I don't think I'm feeding enough to get many of them to live, but like I don't even think I put any wafers in this tank today, but boy, there were some nice blue shrimp. I like this tank a whole lot. This is probably my favorite shrimp for me, I'd have to say. Right now anyway. That changes from time to time, but this is my favorite shrimp that I got right now. So good. Pretty proud of myself. But like I said, and there's a medium-sized one. So, well, no, those are all still babies. I'm just zoomed in. Ha! But, yeah, there's one, a baby that grew up and never got caught. I tried to sell all these that were in here, so I don't have to deal with Pleco overload in this tank. I didn't sell them. I caught them out and put them in the pond. The guppy pond, that is. Okay. Oh, look. The trumpet snails are making food piles, but there is a green dragon. Long fin. I think they're starting to get used to me. I've never got a chance to film. Well, I don't even get a chance to see them. There's 5 in here. I'm pretty sure they're all still alive, but I never see more than 2 at a time. And then, so this is ending up getting to be right now with just 5 juvenile Plecos. I'm doing like probably a 30% water change. That gets the same amount as the Blue Dream tank. Because the bio load, I throw in about the same amount of food. The bio load, and I feed the tank, not the fish. If that makes any sense. For these natural style aquariums, that's what you're doing. You're feeding the tank. If you know you can feed this much and do this big of a water change every week and everything works out, then you keep feeding that same tank that much. This is the long fin blue-eyed lemons, and they're pretty reclusive. And super red. I don't think these guys are real hard to get on film too. Super red calico down there. Yeah, look. You get to show some fish you don't get to see very often when you throw the wafers in and do a video right after the wafers. And the Skittles coal tank. See if I ain't even got down here and looked at this yet. Let's see, I gotta lay on the floor to get a decent video of these guys. Look at all them color combinations on these guys. Oh yeah. This might be one of the coolest tanks I have. Let's see. It's a nice color mix right there. So normally this tank, I just put in algae wafers in this tank for the video. But normally just every once in a while I'll throw some in here for a treat, and when I want to lay here and watch a pile of different colored shrimps and for a video here and there, I'll throw in an algae wafer. But these guys mainly just get the flakes. That was pretty cool. I could sit here and watch this all day. But anyway, you guys, that's what I feed and how much I feed. And there's all a reason. You're not feeding the critters in there, you're feeding the tank. And so if you feed a certain tank so much, you change so much water in that tank, and it seems to be working, and that's a balance. And keeping aquariums is about maintaining little mini water worlds that you're trying to find a balance in. So once you find that balance, stick with it. So I mean, maybe it's like, oh, I want this to be a Pleco tank too, so then I start feeding a little more. So then instead of 20 or 30% water changes, and it's 30 or 40%, or or instead of 10 and 20, it's 30 or 40. That's how you gotta look at it. How much food do I put in there every day or throughout the week if you're doing weekly water changes? That's how I look at it. So it's a pretty cool shot to end the video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.